Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Been good, dude.
Thanks for hopping on.
Appreciate you asking me.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to chat. You tested out in 2020, right? You came out to the ranch.
Yes, sir.
How did you enjoy that experience?
It was awesome. It was embarrassing, but it was awesome.
It was embarrassing. I'm starting to remember some of the
Yeah. So I think Saxon Panchik was the other gentleman, right? And dude, he smoked me on like every single event. I think I
that's right,
tied him on like
we
two
did
events.
that's right. We kind of did the
Yeah,
entirety of the games. You guys went through everything and we kept score and like he mopped the
dude,
floor with you.
he kicked my ass.
And I remember you being kind of, just, like, down about it.
By the fourth day, I was getting pretty down on myself for sure.
But that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You guys were great, and, Saxon has always had a great attitude.
Yeah, it was
I
awesome.
think I think that's the first and only time we were ever able to do something like that, where we took a group through basically the entirety of the games because it was all at the ranch that year and then in Morgan Hill. Did you, but you qualified in stage 1, right?
Yes, sir.
So technically you went to the games that year.
Yeah, I call it the COVID games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Since then, have you gone back?
Yeah, so I did 2021. I went as an individual
Okay.
and then took 22 off, moved back home and started working, took 22 off. 2023 I did a team. And
Ah,
then so this will be my first time as an individual since 21.
nice. You excited?
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Did we chat last year when you were there on the team?
Briefly, you were running from, one spot to
Yeah.
another and I caught you for a second and that was
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah. And then I saw you briefly at the semifinal, but we didn't really catch up.
yeah, I try not to bother you. I know you're a busy man at those
Well, I try
events.
not to bother you guys. You guys are busy. Did you have a good semifinal experience?
Yeah, it was so cool going back to Carson because whenever I was younger, in like undergrad, we used to go watch the CrossFit Games in Carson, and like just seeing the athletes out on the field and like just like the environment of like the what was it, the StubHub then,
Yeah. Yeah,
the
yeah.
StubHub
And the
Center.
original when we first started going there was the Home Depot Center, but yeah,
That's
then it
right.
became Step Up.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I used to remember thinking like every time we'd leave, like, man, if I could just compete there one day, I think that was like the dream that I had, right? And then, the first time I qualified, it was in Madison. And so whenever they announced that the semifinals were going to be in Carson, I was like, dude, that is so cool. So that was special.
You know what I told people? Everyone's ripping on the audience or the crowd that was there. And I said, hey, it did not matter how many people were there. The energy and the vibe for the athletes and for those athletes there, it was something special. It was really
Yeah.
fucking cool. Like, it's a special place. It
Oh
felt
yeah.
really good. And
Yeah. I mean, all the memories from back when I was like basically a kid, my early 20s, like they all kind of flooded back. And it was special, man. That was so cool to have that event there.
yeah, yeah, it's an amazing place. Hopefully, in the future, we can do more things there. I'm a huge fan of that venue because it feels good. But now I'll say this: I'm also a huge fan of this new venue. I'm excited about going to Texas. So you guys are gonna have a blast there.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see what y'all got over in this new venue. Yeah, it'll be a lot of unknown for all of us. We all got used to Madison and what you could kind of do there with the space. We knew the city, we knew the lakes and the trails and everything. Now we don't know anything. So
That was kind of the issue for me with Madison. Not there's no issue with Madison, but basically we need a new canvas, we need a new template, we need to rotate to new areas more
yeah,
often than every several years. It should be every few years for some of the unknown and unknowable, also for some of the just new geographic regions, so people
hmm,
can come and see it.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I was just there a few days ago, and it was hot. It's gonna be hot.
dude. So that's the thing that I've been wondering is, everyone's like, dude, it's so hot in Dallas in the summer. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've trained a good bit in Dallas in the summer, and it's deathly. Um, so like the question that's been in my mind is how much outdoors work can they put us in, and if they do, I imagine it has to be early in the morning or late at night. And like the Friday stadium event's pretty late in the evening,
Yeah,
so it should be pretty safe for the athletes.
yep.
But I mean, dude, those 110 degrees temperatures could crush some souls outside.
And we're not, I'll say this, we're not trying to crush any souls with the heat. There's other things we try to
Yeah,
crush souls with,
yeah,
but it's not with putting them in the heat for extended amount of times or extended amount of time is not our goal there.
yeah. I
We're
didn't think it would be.
somewhere in the Midwest, right?
Where I live?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm way south in Louisiana, man. I used to
Oh,
live in Oklahoma.
yeah,
So,
okay. So when
yeah,
you
back
came
in
out, you were
2020, I lived in Oklahoma. Yeah,
okay.
that's a good memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're in Louisiana?
Yes, sir. That's where I grew up,
Okay. Where? What part?
just north of New Orleans. So I work a
Okay.
lot in New Orleans.
Do you remember we did an open announcement in New
Mhm.
Orleans?
At CrossFit NOLA. Yep.
Yeah. And Sean Payton came to it.
Yeah, I remember that.
We had dinner with him the night before in at a steakhouse in New Orleans, and it was insane because like of course everyone in there knew him, and he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I mean he's coach. Everyone's like, hey coach, and yeah, that was a cool experience. Are you a Saints fan?
Now, I've been to a few of the games, but, I actually don't watch, like, a lot of recreational sports until, like, recently. I started getting into cycling a lot.
Yeah.
So we're watching, like, the Tour de France now. So
I used to obsessively watch the tour back when Lance was playing and
mhm.
riding, and I loved it. It's a really cool sport to watch. It's intense, man. Those guys are what they're doing for that duration, for that almost month, is insane. The amount of hours they're going out for, it makes sense why they had to do what they had to do.
Yeah, yeah, like, that's the stuff that's kind of caught my appreciation for it is the kind of work they do over 21 days. It's just insane. It's so cool.
Yeah, it is wild. It's crazy though, even thinking about the tour and Lance Armstrong, and honestly, even golf and Tiger Woods. Like when Lance was riding, I was all about it. When Tiger was playing, I was all about watching him play.
Mhm.
And those sports losing characters like that, it really sets them back.
Yeah, absolutely, but have you seen the new Netflix documentary on the Tour de France?
No, but I probably should. But all of those documentaries, starting with Drive to Survive, have really like amplified those sports and really helped them
Yeah.
out. We're trying
So
to set something up for with a group to do something around CrossFit. So
oh,
we'll
that'd be
see.
so cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Where who's programming or whose camp are you in?
Um, Mine.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah,
Neon.
I started a writing program a few years ago, and, so I kinda just I like to eat what I serve,
Yeah.
so that's just what I do. I follow the program that I write for our community.
Do you so for your community, do you also
Mhm.
have a gym and coach?
I don't have a gym and a coach. I have, like, a home-based gym,
Gotcha.
down here in Louisiana, but whenever I say the community, I mean, like, the online
The
community of,
online
like,
community.
all the
Yeah.
subscribers and
Gotcha.
everything, so
Yep.
I like to feel what they feel.
Are you doing well with that? Like, are you happy? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's so over the past, like, I guess 6 months, we grew from, like, 125 members, which I was pretty excited, like, once we broke 100, I was like, "Oh, man, that's cool." Like, we're at over 600 members now, which is
Wow.
insane to me. Um,
Congrats.
yeah, we've been alive for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years, and it's grown
Awesome.
a good bit recently, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool," 'cause, I'm still a physicist. I'm still work full time, and so then I started this little side thing, and it's grown into a little bit more than a little side thing.
Physicist. That's
Yes, sir.
right. Tell us more. Tell the audience about that.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's what I went to school for, like, that's where that was, like, the
Didn't you
main
work with your
focus.
father in that field?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into it. He's a physicist, so we work in the medical field. Yeah, got a degree in physics whenever I was an undergrad, got a master's in medical physics, did a 2-year residency in medical physics, and that's what I was in Oklahoma for. So I finished that, moved back home to Louisiana, started working for my dad. But we work in hospitals and clinics, with radiation and medicine, from ionizing radiation like CTs, X-rays, mammography, to, ultrasound and MRI, which use magnets and sound for imaging. That's our field.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's pretty cool. But you don't. Let me go back to this. You don't have a coach that works with you or that observes you or that's with you.
No, sir.
Do you think? I would suggest that that could be a big benefit at some point. Having someone just eyes on. Do
Yeah.
you agree or think that could help?
Yes, I think there's benefits to both.
Yeah,
Not having a coach, like you look at like Rich Froning and Ben Smith. They were their own coaches. They wrote their own programming and everything. But now it's much more common to have an external set of eyes who watches you and
yeah,
like sees your deficiencies and tweaks like your training in that. Um, so this is like the first year I compete as an individual where I haven't had a coach. I've always had a
Okay.
coach before. They've always been, and they've never been like local to me. They've always
Yeah.
been, across the states or whatever. So they've never have like their eyes on me a lot. They just can, you communicate with them, whatever. So I think on the side of like being your own coach, you really have to begin to pay attention to yourself, like your internal dialogue of like, yeah, like this piece is, definitely got a lot of weaknesses in it, but I don't really want to do it. And I've got no one to answer to. Well, you have to like kind of shut that internal dialogue up. You start paying attention to like your body and like how it feels and how it responds to different stimuluses. And like honestly, I've been like a big experimenter on myself of like trying new methods of like, zonal training and interval work and all these things. And, I mean, it's worked this year. To qualify for the fourth time as an individual is like it, I was happy about that because, like I said, like a lot of what I do is like a self experiment.
Yep.
And I'm also providing this program to hundreds of people, and I want to know exactly, what I'm providing.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a benefit to that where you really have to learn yourself and you have to be extremely disciplined and growing in that discipline, and being like, responsible for yourself. You're self-reliant. You're not relying on someone to tell you how to do something all the time. But on the other side of that, having external eyes who see the things that you don't see is also a huge benefit. So I think there's, sides to each of it.
Will you have a coach at the games?
The gentleman who owns our gym, he's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
He's coming up just to, to have someone to keep it light and moral
Yep.
support and
That's awesome.
yeah.
Do you have any questions for me before we hop off?
Um, what are you most excited about this year? Like is there an event or a venue or a something that you're super stoked about? Like any hints on that? You
Yeah,
might
there's
I mean, I know
a
you
handful
can't say too
full of
much.
things I'm really excited about, and I'm thinking about them now. Clearly, can't dive into them, but
Yeah,
there's like 3 or 4, like, unique elements that to include Farrington Field, so since that's announced, I can say that, to include what's gonna happen there, and
yeah,
to include some other things we're gonna do. Nice little twist and it'll be fun. It'll be
yeah.
fun.
Are there any events that are gonna be, like, just kind of, like, super gnarly? Not complicated or, like, fancy, but just, like, kind of kick your teeth in, like, this is gonna hurt no matter what.
Yes,
Love
for
that.
fucking sure, yes.
I love that so much. That's so cool.
All
Yeah.
right. All right, Brandon, thanks for doing the interview. I'll see you in a few weeks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.